Hello children, how are you? I hope you're fine children. Today our topic of discussion will be single circuit circulation, double circuit circulation and various blood vessels that are present in our blood circulatory system. First let us start with single circuit circulation and then we'll be discussing about double circuit circulation. Single circuit circulation. The word single circuit circulation itself says that here only one circuit operates. That means during the cell cycle, one complete circulation of blood in the body, the blood reaches heart only once. The flow of blood is only one direction. There is no second pathway or second direction for the flow of blood. Only one direction, only one pathway for the flow of blood in entire circulatory system, and the blood reaches the heart only once during this circulation. This type of circulation is seen in fishes. In our previous video, when we discussed about the circulation in various vertebrate organisms, we discussed about fish also. In fish, we saw that it is only a double chambered heart. Only two chambers are present, one atrium and one ventricle is present. In this, we have seen that the blood flows in one direction only. What is this single circuit circulation of fish? We also saw that there are capillaries, which are gill capillaries as well as systemic capillaries. So let us observe in this following diagram, children, how was the circulation? Let us revise once. The arrows that are present in the middle show the circulation, direction of circulation of blood in the body of fish. See, we can see that the direction of circulation of blood is from sinus venosus. This is a thin walled structure from which the blood flows into arterium or auricle, and from auricle the blood flows into the chamber which is below it, called as ventricle. There is an opening between auricle and ventricle which allows the flow of blood from auricle to ventricle. After the blood reaches into ventricles, the blood is pumped into conus arteriosus. Ventricles contract to pump the blood into conus arteriosus through an aorta. After the blood reaches the conus arteriosus, blood is pumped to blood capillaries which are present at the gills. At this region, the exchange of gases occurs for the gills between the water in which it is flowing and in the body of this organism. Carbon dioxide enters from body into the water and oxygen enters from water into this organism at the gills. Afterwards, now the blood is oxygenated. This oxygenated blood passes through the blood vessel that is joined by the gill capillaries, and then it flows into systemic capillaries. At systemic capillaries, there is an exchange of carbon dioxide, oxygen and various other substances, nutrients, etc. into the blood. All these chambers have valves, and these valves prevent the backflow of blood. There is no backflow of blood, only the blood can flow in one direction only. Once the blood enters from atrium to ventricle, there is no chance for reverse flow of blood from ventricle to atrium. In the same way, when the blood is moving forward also, the valves are present at various locations of these blood vessels so that the blood does not flow back. Here one more thing to understand is blood is oxygenated at the gill capillaries, and it moves forward to get deoxygenated at body capillaries. The significant thing about the single circuit heart is that Oxygenated blood is flowing from gill capillaries to body capillaries only. This oxygenated blood does not enter into the heart. That means heart pumps only deoxygenated blood. There is no entry of oxygenated blood into the heart. So here it is a pumping organ. Heart is acting as a pumping organ, and in this we can see clearly that the blood is reaching heart only one time, and there is a single pathway for the flow of blood. So this type of circulation is called as single circuit circulation, and the heart is called as single circuit heart. Okay children, I hope you have understood about single circuit circulation. Now let us understand what is double circuit circulation and how does it differ from single circuit circulation. Double circuit circulation. And as I said you previously about single circuit circulation, here also double circuit circulation. The word itself is saying that there are two circuits in the circulation. In other words, circulation system is a type of circulatory system in which blood reaches the heart twice. So we can say that there are two pathways for the flow of blood also. It is not a unidirectional flow of blood, but it is following two different pathways, and blood reaches the heart twice for completion of one complete cardiac cycle. A complete cardiac cycle can be completed only if the heart, blood reaches heart twice, and this type of circulation is called as double circuit circulation, and the heart that is having double circuit circulation is called as double circuit heart. If you see in this diagram, we can see that there is a separate circuit for pulmonary circulation and a separate circuit for systemic circulation. Let us observe keenly what is pulmonary circulation. Pulmonary circulation is a type of circulation in which the blood reaches from heart to lungs for oxygenation. Circulation of blood from heart to lungs and from lungs back to heart is called as pulmonary circulation. We can see that in this diagram we can see that the blood reaches from right ventricle to both lungs. Separate blood vessel is there, pulmonary artery, to pump the blood from heart, right ventricle of heart, to both the lungs. So at the lungs the purification or oxygenation of blood takes place. From lungs there are pulmonary veins for sending the blood into left auricle. So this circuit, which starts from right ventricle and ends in left auricle, is called as pulmonary circuit, and this circulation is called as pulmonary circulation. This circulation helps in oxygenation of blood. Unlike in single circuit circulation, blood is not oxygenated in a single flow, but here a separate circuit is present in the structure for oxygenation of blood. That separate pathway through which oxygenation occurs is pulmonary circulation. Blood gets oxygenated during this pulmonary circulation, and oxygenated blood reaches the heart at left auricle. Now let us discuss a second pathway in which the blood flows. The second pathway can be seen on the lower side of this diagram, in which the Blood is distributed to all the parts of the body. This circuit which operates to pump the blood into different parts of body is called as systemic circulation. Systemic circulation starts from left ventricle and it ends in right auricle. Circulation of blood to the rest of your body except lungs and then back to heart is called as systemic circulation. This systemic circulation starts from left ventricle of the heart. From left ventricle of heart it is pumped into aorta, and from aorta helps in sending the blood into all parts of the body, and from all parts of body deoxygenated blood is collected by vena cava, both superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, and from there the blood is flowing back into the right auricle. So we can see that this pathway is called as systemic circulation. In double circuit circulation, we can see that both oxygenated blood is reaching the heart, which is on the left side of the heart, and deoxygenated blood also reaches the heart, which is on the right side of the heart. So right side of the heart is having deoxygenated blood and left side of the heart is having oxygenated blood, which are separated by well developed septum in between this right and left side of the hearts. This type of heart is required in higher organisms because heart as a pumping organ need to pump the blood to lungs, which also apart from all body parts, because these parts are at a distance from each other. In case of single circuit circulation, the body plan of these organisms is very small and the pressure with which the heart pumps is enough for reaching to gills and from the gills to all parts of the body. But in higher organisms, the organization of body itself is so typical that the pressure with which the heart pumps the blood for single time is not enough for circulating throughout the body and going for lungs for oxygenation is not possible if this or higher organisms are having single circuit circulation. So the double circuit circulation helps in distribution of blood to different parts of the body, and also it helps in pumping the blood to lungs also. In this way, these higher organisms are able to oxygenate the blood as well as distribute it throughout the body. The blood vessels are also arranged in such a way that the circulation to lungs is also possible and circulation to body is also possible. So the part of circulation which helps in pumping blood to lungs is called as pulmonary circulation, and the path of circulation which helps in pumping the blood to various parts of body is called as systemic circulation. So let us understand that the circulation that is present from right ventricle to left auricle is pulmonary circulation, and that which is present from left ventricle to right auricle is called as systemic circulation. Systemic circulation distributes the blood to all the parts of the body. Hope you understood the single circulation as well as double circuit circulation. Now we'll be learning about various blood vessels of our circulatory system and how they differ from each other. Blood vessels. Blood vessels are the components of circulatory system. Apart from heart, the other components of circulatory system are blood vessels that are pipe-like structures spread in entire body like a mesh, and they help in transport of blood throughout the human body. As they carry the blood that is present in the blood vessels also carry the blood cells that are present in it, and also nutrients and oxygen is also dissolved in the blood to carry it to different parts of the body. And blood also helps in transport of waste material and carbon dioxide. So these are also carried in blood through the blood vessels only. Carbon dioxide and waste are to be eliminated from our body, and they are carried from the organ of production to the organ of elimination. That is, carbon dioxide is produced in various tissues of the body. From there it is transported to lungs for elimination from the body, and waste is produced by various parts of the body. From there it is carried to excretory system for the filtration and excretion from the body. So this is the main role of blood vessels. Blood vessels are those pipe-like structures that are distributed in all parts of body and help in transport of different substances from the area of production to the site of its action or site of its elimination. These blood vessels that are present and distributed in entire parts of the body. There is no single part of our body where blood vessel is not present, because nutrients are required by all parts of the body, and carbon dioxide and waste material are also produced by all parts of the body. Oxygen is also required by all parts of the body. Any body part cannot function if nutrients are not supplied, oxygen is not supplied, and there is no part of the body where waste material is not produced and carbon dioxide is not produced. So this blood vessels distribution is present in every nook and corner of our body, except the dead cells where nails and hair do not have any distribution of blood vessels, and cornea of our eye also do not have any blood vessels, except that all the parts of our body are having blood vessels distributed in them. The blood vessels of our body are of different types based on their structure and based on their component that is carried in them. So what are the types of blood vessels? The types of blood vessels are arteries, veins, and capillaries. Arteries are divided into smaller branches of them called as arterioles, and veins are divided into smaller branches of them called as venules. First of all, what are arteries? Arteries are those blood vessels which carry the blood away from the heart, and they usually have oxygenated blood, except pulmonary artery which carries deoxygenated blood. These arteries, when they are extended into body parts, they get branched, and each branch is having a thinner diameter compared to the original artery from which it is originated. So these branches which arise from arteries are called as arterioles. Arterioles are further divided into very, very small hair-like branches. These small hair-like branches, which are distributed in various organs of our body, are called as capillaries. These capillaries unite to form the branches of veins called as venules. Venules join together to form a larger blood vessels called as veins. Veins carry deoxygenated blood towards the heart, except pulmonary vein which carries oxygenated blood to the heart. One by one we'll be studying about these blood vessels. Arteries and arterioles. Arteries and arterioles carry the oxygenated blood. They transport the blood away from the heart. The thickness of arteries is approximately 4 millimeter, and arterioles have a thickness of approximately 10 micrometers. All the arteries carry blood away from the heart, and the largest of arteries is aorta, which is 25 millimeter in thickness. It originates from heart and it is further branched into larger arteries, which are further again branched into smaller arteries, which finally get branched into arterioles. Arterioles get branched to form the capillaries. These blood vessels have thicker walls to withstand higher pressure of arterial blood. When the blood is pumped directly, it enters into aorta. So the wall should have a thickness which can bear the capacity of all the pressure that is exerted by heart during the pumping of blood. They have elastic tissue, and moreover the larger arteries like aorta have more elastic tissue and less smooth muscle. These muscles are thicker enough to withstand even if there is no blood inside this also. Their shape is not collapsed. They remain there. The shape remains intact even the blood is not there. Blood is not flowing inside these arteries also. The shape does not collapse. There are no valves in case of arteries or arterioles, because the blood that enters into arteries is already coming with a lot of pressure. There is no chance that the blood flows backwards, because when the blood is moving forward, another 75 ml of blood is ready. When a heart pumps each time 75 ml of blood for each cardiac cycle. So once 75 ml of blood is entering aorta, the next 75 ml is ready to be pumped, which pushes the first 75 ml that has already entered into aorta and artery. So there is no chance for the blood to flow back, as the blood keeps on coming continuously with a lot of pressure. But what is required by these arteries is their wall should be able to withstand that pressure, and they should be elastic enough to expand, so that if blood is pushing the walls, the pressure exerted by heart should be withstanded by these arteries. They should not damage. So that is why they have an elastic tissue in their walls. These blood vessels have elastic tissue, so that when there is more pressure, they can expand. Even when you are tensed also, these arteries expand. Stress also causes the arterioles to expand, arteries to expand. So that is why these are having elasticity, so that they are not damaged when more pressure is exerted on them. This elasticity and the firmness of the wall of arteries helps in maintaining the structure of arteries even when blood is not there. Some veins do not have this nature. Unlike veins, arteries can retain their shape even if there is no blood inside these arteries. Let us see what is present in the walls of arteries. Arteries walls have 3 layers of tissues. The first layer is called as tunica adventitia. This is the outermost layer, which is also called as tunica externa. It is made up of fibrous tissue. The fibrous tissue present in the wall of artery is responsible for maintenance of firmness even when the blood is not there. Artery is able to retain its shape when there is no blood inside it also. That is because of this fibrous tissue that is present on the outer side. Next, second layer of wall of artery is tunica media. It is a middle layer and it is made up of smooth muscle and elastic tissue. Elastic tissue helps in expansion of the arteries when it is required, or when more pressure is applied on the arteries, when we get tensed, etc. And the smooth muscle that is present inside the walls of arteries helps in involuntary contraction and relaxation. These are involuntary muscles and they are not at our control. They help in contraction and relaxation of arteries when required. When there is more pressure, it need to relax. When it is less pressure, it need to contract. That is controlled by smooth muscle. The third layer that is present in the wall of artery is tunica intima. This tunica intima is a epithelium layer, and it is a fact that all the organs have an innermost layer of epithelial tissue, and tunica intima is that epithelial tissue in the walls of artery, and below every epithelial tissue there is definitely a basement membrane. Here also that basement membrane is present. The second type of blood vessels present in circulatory system are capillaries. Capillaries are the minute blood vessels that are formed from the branches of arterioles, and the capillaries link the smallest arterioles to the smallest veins. These help in exchange of material between the tissues, and blood occurs through blood vessels. See, these are the smallest minute blood vessels that are distributed in all the organs of the body. Wherever there is a requirement of exchange of material, we can see capillaries are present in that region. For example, we saw that respiratory system has alveoli. Over the alveoli, capillary is present. There the exchange of gases is required. Carbon dioxide is leaving the body and oxygen is entering the body at this region. Even in the digestive system, in the microvilli, in the microvilli we saw that blood vessels are present. Those are also capillaries. There also nutrients need to be absorbed into the blood. And we can also see that when we discussed about excretory system in our coming chapters, when we discuss about excretory system, we'll see that where the waste material leave the blood, in that region also these capillaries are present. The capillaries are the minutest blood vessels, and they are having only one cell thick layer, that is, it is made up of endothelial tissue. There is no second layer over this. This is a single membrane, single layer that is covering the capillaries, help in easy exchange of material. The thickness of this wall of this capillary is so thin that easily substances can pass through it or enter into it because of this. The third type of blood vessels are veins, which branch to form venules. The thickness of veins is 5 millimeters and the thickness of venules is 20 micrometers. These form the venous system. These veins carry the blood towards the heart. Veins carry the blood towards the heart, whether it is vena cava or pulmonary veins, but only difference is vena cava carry deoxygenated blood to heart, whereas pulmonary veins carry oxygenated blood into the heart. The largest of veins is vena cava with a thickness of 30 millimeters, and capillaries end in venules. Capillaries are the smallest blood vessels which combine to form a little thicker blood vessels, blood vessels which are having a little more diameter, and these blood vessels are called as venules. Venules further move forward to unite with other venules to form veins, and the largest veins together come and form the largest vein, that is vena cava. The blood that flows in the veins is having very little pressure. By the time blood reaches the heart, the pressure is falling to the lowest rate. What is the reason? Because when the heart is pumping the blood, at that time the pressure in the blood vessels is very much. With that pressure, it passes through the entire body. and then it returns from all the parts of the body. During this time, the blood pressure gradually decreases, and when the blood is returning to heart, at that time the pressure of heart is very, very less. So there is every chance that blood that is flowing with less pressure may be attracted in the opposite direction. So for example, let us take the blood that is flowing from legs towards heart. Gravitational pull may be acting on that, and there may be a chance for the blood flowing towards legs than reaching to the heart. So to avoid this, to avoid the backflow of blood, valves are present inside the veins. Valves are the muscular structures which allow the flow of blood in only one direction, that is towards the heart. These valves are present only in veins. They are not present in the arteries. We can see that valves are present in heart also. When we discuss the internal structure of heart, I said you heart is also having valves. 4 valves we discussed in heart, and next the valves are present in the veins. So to prevent the backflow of blood, these valves are very useful. They close immediately when the blood tries to flow in backward direction, and they open when the blood flows towards the heart. These veins are having very thinner walls that collapse when there is no blood in that. This walls of the veins have valves that allows the blood flow in one direction only, and the walls of these veins are very thin compared to the arterial blood vessels, and that's why they cannot retain the shape. They cannot retain the shape when there is no blood inside them. They become like flat structures. If there is no water inside a pipe which is having very thin outermost wall, then it becomes very flat. It becomes same like that. Let us see the structure of these veins. If you see the tiers of a vein is having same like artery. It is having tunica adventitia, tunica media, and tunica intima. Between tunica intima and tunica media, another layer of connective tissue is present, and we can see that the walls of veins are thinner. Innermost layer, which is endothelium, is having inner folds called as valves, and the tunica adventitia is tough. It is not elastic in veins. If you compare the tiers of artery and vein, observe the tunica adventitia of artery and vein. In artery, it is made up of elastic connective tissue. In vein, it is made up of tough connective tissue, which is not flexible. So that is why arteries expand when the blood flow increases. In case of vein, only they become stiff, they do not expand. They do not expand, but they retain their shape when blood flow is more. That's all. They cannot expand. Okay, coming to the second layer, tunica media is having very thick smooth muscle in case of artery. In case of veins, the tunica media is thinner. The smooth muscle is thinner. And the third layer, tunica intima, is made up of endothelium, and this endothelium do not have any inner folds in case of artery, but in case of vein, inner folds are there, which are called as valves. These valves limit the flow of blood in only one direction, because when blood reaches in veins, the pressure is very low. That's why to prevent the backflow of blood, valves are very helpful. this endothelium of veins is folded inwards to form valve-like structures, which is absent in arteries. And endothelium has innermost wall, that is basement membrane, is present in case of both arteries and veins. Looking through the capillaries, capillaries are just made up of a single layer endothelium which is having an inner basement membrane. That's all. So that helps in exchange of material between capillaries and the organ in which it is present. So that is about the structure of three different blood vessels, children. Okay, children, I hope you understood all the topics of today. If you did not understand, you can watch it again till you understand, children. Keep learning. Happy learning, children. Bye.